Okay, today we're digging into this analysis of the public dispute between Candace Owens and Allie Beth Stuckey over the whole Charlie Kirk situation.
And right off the bat, you see the strong moral point it's trying to make. But we really need to look at who it's trying to persuade, because the tone right now might actually be working against that goal.
Yeah, let's jump right into that first point. To really boost this piece's impact, the critique should probably be aimed more at the manipulative leadership, rather than just going after the followers directly.
That's the heart of it, yeah. I mean, the piece is clear about the problem it sees people going off blindly, not using your brain.
And it uses some pretty harsh labels, doesn't it? Calling them dingbat followers, saying they're being played.
You definitely feel that frustration, that sense that common sense is just evaporated. It's palpable.
It is. But that frustration leads to this tonal shift. It goes from a really solid, needed critique of Candace Owens' actions. The lack of evidence, the hearsay, the speculation.
Right, the intellectual critique part.
And then it pivots to just sounding almost contemptuous of her audience. Real disdain there.
And that's where it gets tricky, right? Because if you're trying to persuade people, maybe folks who are confused or on the fence,
you need them to listen.
Exactly. But if you hit them with dumb or dingbats, they just shut down. You push away the very people who might actually benefit from hearing the argument about evidence and responsibility.
I definitely see that, shifting the tone. But isn't there a risk? If we ignore the follower's choice to be, intellectually lazy, does that weaken the argument that critical thinking is their job too? How do you hold them accountable without just insulting them?
That's the tightrope, isn't it? And it's crucial. You hold them accountable by showing how they were manipulated, not by calling them stupid. So the suggestion here is a full rhetorical shift.
Okay.
Instead of insults, zero in on the vulnerability that's being exploited and use that strong theological framing the piece already has that really raises the stakes.
So less about personal failure, more about engineered dependence.
Precisely. Look, it's not enough just to quote Allie Beth Stuckey saying they're outsourcing your critical thinking. That's a great quote, but you need to unpack it.
Show how it's happening.
Yes. Show how Owens actively created that vacuum of authority that followers then rushed into.
The piece already pulls that quote about her taking the reins and got the fort.
That quote is gold. You need to pause there. Really analyze that specific language. She's positioning herself as the only one in charge after the crisis, right? Setting the terms.
Okay.
Use that to demonstrate the engineered dependence. That proves the cult-like following point much more effectively than name-calling. It makes the manipulation itself the core problem.
Which is a much stronger critique, especially theological. Instead of, you're dumb, it's, this leader is deliberately fostering dependence, and that's destructive.
And that sets up your most powerful examples. You can connect it directly to the spiritual warfare aspect the piece mentions. Satan who comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Right.
That kind of spiritual danger thrives on this exact intellectual laziness. Frame it that way.
So the audience becomes victims? Victims of the discord being sown?
Exactly. They're the sheep being scattered, not just inherently foolish people. And framing it like that drastically increases your chance of actually reaching them, getting them to maybe reconsider where they're getting their information.
That really does change the whole feel of that first critique. Makes it about the danger they're in, not just a flaw they have. Okay, so that connects to the next point, doesn't it? The stakes here feel bigger than just, who said what.
Oh, absolutely bigger. And that's critique number 2. The analysis needs to really synthesize how this whole Owens versus Stuckey thing isn't just a spat. It represents a major ideological split in their community.
Yeah, right now it notes the discord, how it distracted from the mission, focus on the cross, share the gospel, all correct.
But
it treats it mostly like a factual disagreement, right? Like, did CO have evidence or not?
And that just undersells the significance. Big time. We need to move beyond summarizing the fight to analyzing the fault line underneath it. It's not just about facts. It's about how each side thinks you should process tragedy, how you should engage with culture afterward.
It's missing that systematic contrast between, what did you call them?
2 deeply opposed worldviews. Yeah.
Maybe like the forensic view versus the eternal view?
Perfect. That's exactly it. The earthbound investigative focus versus the faith-based spiritual focus. Candace Owens is all about the first one.
Right.
And Allie Beth Stuckey champions the second. So the suggestion is elevate this. Don't treat it like a personal feud. Frame it as a core argument about the priorities of faith after a crisis hits.
So structure the analysis around those two poles. Use the quotes the piece already has, but organize them to show that contrast clearly.
You've got all the building blocks. It's just about arranging them to highlight this deep divide. You contrast ABS talking about actions having weight and eternity.
And that urgent need she mentions to disciple those people who have been going to church for the first time. Her focus is spiritual stewardship.
Right. Compare that directly with CO's laser focus on the physical, the forensic.
Like those quotes about people's necks don't stop 306 bullets?
Exactly. Or her getting hung up on the timeline, or the family spending millions of dollars on security. Those are perfect illustrations of that purely temporal investigative mindset. She's operating entirely on the level of worldly details, legal stuff.
That contrast really drives home the argument about priority. And you could even use some of the sharper attacks to make the point.
Absolutely. Like that accusation that CO just kind of wanted to turn him into a ghost, like Charlie the Friendly Ghost.
Oof, yeah.
Don't just quote it. Analyze it. What does that mean in this context? It's an argument, isn't it? An argument that CO is basically dismissing the spiritual reality, the eternal weight of the victim's life.
Right, by focusing only on the political conspiracy, the physical details.
Mechanics of the argument itself. How can the analysis go deeper than just saying Owens missed the point? How can we deconstruct her rhetorical moves?
Right, this is where we get into the sophisticated stuff. It's not just that she deflects criticism, but how she does it. What's the actual technique?
The piece does note that she completely missed what Allie Beth Stuckey was saying, and then manages to turn it around.
Yeah.
And it points out her shift, when she says, "We didn't ask her for any assistance. I did all the work." It sees the pivot.
It identifies what she did miss the point, shifted focus, but it doesn't quite nail the tool she used. And the tool is powerful. It's emotional recontextualization.
Emotional recontextualization. Okay, unpack that.
She takes the core disagreement, which for ABS was about evidence standards, journalistic ethics, right?
Yeah, that was the whole point.
And she completely reframes it. She turns it into a question of who cares more about Charlie's actual life.
Wow. Yeah, that's basically weaponizing grief, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a specific rhetorical tactic. She uses the immense emotional weight of Charlie's real life to just brush aside any questions about evidence.
And to paint ABS as, insensitive? Distracted?
Exactly. Distracted by the surrounding cast of characters, as Colin puts it. The analysis needs to make this maneuver central, show how it works.
So point out explicitly that she's creating a false moral choice. Either you're with her, focusing on the tragedy, or you don't care enough.
Yes. And show the proof in her language. Look at the repetition the piece already highlights. It was Charlie's real life. That was Charlie's real life. When you saw him sitting there, that was his real life.
She hammers that phrase.
She does. And she uses it to counter AB's broader concern about other people's real lives, the ones potentially harmed by speculation or the ones whose thinking is being manipulated.
So she's essentially saying, my intense focus on this specific physical tragedy automatically makes my position more moral than your concern for ethical standards or broader impact.
Precisely. It lets her dodge the entire question about evidence. She sidesteps it completely and forces her opponent onto the defensive, making them prove their own compassion.
And then she can land that final punch. Maybe you're not worried about him, but I am.
Turning a procedural debate into this loyalty test, this grief contest, deconstructing that specific move. That's what takes this analysis from just commentary to something really insightful about how public arguments work.
Okay, that's incredibly helpful. So wrapping this up, the analysis is strong foundationally, but these tweaks could really sharpen its impact. We've hit 3 key areas for improvement.
Right. First, adjusting that tone. Focus the critique on the leadership manipulation, the way dependence is engineered, rather than just insulting the followers. Make them see they're victims of discord.
Second, really lean into synthesizing that deeper ideological split. Frame it clearly as the forensic, earthbound view versus the eternal spiritual view. Show it's a battle over core priorities, not just facts.
And finally, go beyond saying Owens deflects. Do a detailed deconstruction of how she does it specifically, analyzing that technique of emotional recontextualization, using grief to shut down questions of evidence.
Those feel like very concrete, actionable change. If you implement those, this piece becomes even more powerful, much more persuasive for the intended audience. Definitely send it back our way once you've revised it. We'd love to see where it goes.